what you do is you pull the forward shoulder back, very good, and then you pivot through the elbow, and now you rotate out. So what you do here is keep it there, pull this back, and then even then you can do this one probably back, yeah, and then rotate out this way. So it's just got to be pivoting here, yeah? So we don't want it here, we want it all the way back there, okay? So then, and here you only have to do a couple of sets because it's a more intense exercise, yeah? Okay? But the last thing, once you've done that for say a month or so and you're getting much better control through there, then what you can do, and there's certain therabands that are just like this, you know, it's not a loop, it's, you know, the ones that are just a bit longer.
Yeah.
You can actually stand on the TheraBand, and we have some at the clinic, so you can just actually stand on it, and then you start rotating up into this position. Okay? Yeah, that'll be really good for things like pull-ups, you know, overhead squats. If you're up in this position, you need to make sure that this is nice and controlled, yeah? So I know Belinda's been, you know, I've heard about keeping your shoulders back and make sure this is back. It's very, very important because if this starts to fold forward, you're definitely at a higher risk of getting involved. Yeah, and for CrossFitters, shoulder injuries are definitely in the top three in terms of in terms of injury occurrences. Yeah, that and low backs seem to be the ones. Okay, the one other one that is really good. That was good. Thank you for that. No problem. The other one you can do, and it's really trying to strengthen your shoulder blade, yeah? And that is, you stand, you have the TheraBand on your foot, okay? So this is straight, this is at half, on the side. You're really strengthening through here. Because remember what I said about the angle of the shoulder blade? It's angled there, yeah? So you can actually strengthen the shoulder blade through this range. So you don't have to go all the way up here, you just go from 0 to 90. So yeah, we get you standing. I just forgot that the elbow is right in the top there. Okay, so we get you facing this way. Okay, so pretty much, once again, you set the shoulder blade, pull the ball back. You can have your arms slightly straight. So you can see as soon as you have your arms slightly straight, then it starts to roll forward, doesn't it? So you've got to always reactivate, yeah? And then stay with the band. So I'm going to come over like that. And then pretty much what I get people to do is stand on it, but I will do your foot pretty much, okay? So if you stand on it that way, then you do that, yeah? Okay?
Keeping the arms straight.
Keeping the arms straight. Because if you bend the elbow, you're just using your bicep. Yeah? So you just got to think here, once again. Yep. See how I wanted to go forward? So keep that there, keep the ball back, and now you pull. Okay? And that will get a lot of strength through rhomboids, through your lower traps, okay? And also through your rotator cuff. Okay? Now, if anyone's got questions after, fire away. You know, if you want demos or anything, just let me know, yeah? Or, yeah, ask Linda and then she can call me. So, these are probably really good activation exercises to do before a WOD, so that your muscles are ready to take the load, okay? Because if those muscles are not ready, then what happens is your tendons are going to be the next one to go, yeah? And then your joints, your bursa, your labrum, all of these things, okay? Anyone got questions at the moment? Everyone's pretty clear?
Yeah. You talked about activation.
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference between activation and stretching?
Okay.
Is stretching different?
Yeah, stretching is more about relaxation and allowing your muscle to lengthen. Yeah? Activation is more about the actual shortening or contraction of a muscle, pretty much to try and stabilize the joint. Yeah? So we can stretch our hamstrings, yeah? And it will lengthen the hamstring. But what we've got to do also, let's say if we're running, we've also got to make sure that we can be quite active to switch up. So it stabilizes our limb. The same here. If we are stretching our pecs a little bit, then we might have to do some little wall push-ups just to get it switched on. Because if you stretch it and it's relaxed, and then you go something at high load, it's going to have quite a delayed response. Because what stretching does, it also dampens your neural system, so from your brain to the muscle, and then it says, okay, I'm in a relaxed state now, I can just chill out and can go on a holiday. But then all of a sudden you've asked it to work really hard, it's got to then feed back to the brain, go, holy crap, I actually got to work. Yeah, and so there's a delayed response, and that's where we see a lot of injuries happening as well. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, so it's waking stuff up, yeah? So that's important. Like, those bigger muscles. Yeah, so that's why I said like the global muscles are those big torque producing muscles, but they're the culprits in terms of compression of joints. Just like your low back, you've got all these muscles through here. When they get really tight, they compress the joint. Yeah, and then that core can't switch on as well. Okay, so yeah, it's really important. The stretching is mainly designed now for post and for recovery purposes. And the self-trigger points, you know, with the ball or the cross ball or any other devices like that, they're really good for recovery, particularly if you want to do WODs, you know, day in, day out. Yeah? You've got to work out, say, tonight, and you want to work out tomorrow, you've got to recover for that next day. It's just like any part of training, is that if your muscles do not recover from that next day, then you're at higher risk of hurting yourself. Okay? So it's an overloading type of injury, yeah? And what we see at the shoulder is, I keep on talking about supraspinatus tendon, yeah? It's a very common tendon. It pretty much goes just below the tip of the shoulder, okay? Just below the tip of the shoulder. And it is, what happens there is that the ball of the shoulder jams up straight into the tendon and starts giving friction, or starts rubbing on it, and then starts breaking down, yeah? And then what happens is, you get that breakdown, and you get inflammation, and that's where you burst up. You know, your air pocket up the top gets flamed up, okay? So what we're trying to avoid is that ball of the shoulder smashing straight back into the tendon. Because what the rotator cuff does, it actually rotates and drops down as you lift up higher and higher. So if your rotator cuff doesn't work and your traps are up here, what the ball will do is just lift, and smack straight in that supraspinatus. Yeah? That's why these rotation exercises are designed to keep the ball in the socket. Yeah? So, you know, like if you're coming up here, yeah, and you're falling here, and you're falling like that, all you're doing there is now adding strain through that tendinous area, yeah. You've always got to think about activating, and you know, Belinda's always keen on that, is to just try and switch on, engage, and then make sure that it is up in this range. You'll get a much more efficient movement because you are also working the rotator cuff as well as your bigger muscles. When it is starting to go like this, it's all going to be traps, pecs, and a bit through your lats as well, yeah, because you're pulling down, yeah? So pretty much you're using certain muscles, but you're not using the whole repertoire of muscles that you need to do, yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? So even when you're doing like overhead squats and things like that, make sure that before you even lift that bar up, you activate, you pull everything back, get the ball into the socket, and then go into this position, yeah? Don't let it hang here and try and grip it through here. So as soon as you grip that, that's when this will start to pull forward and start to strain. Okay? So it's really important. You'll find you get a much more efficient movement. Yeah? So I can only talk for Laura at the moment, but we've had a lot of demonstrations on how to get these muscles switching on. We're getting some really good results in efficiency of movement. Yeah? So yeah, try it out, you know, and if you have any questions with it, you can always, I'll leave a couple of cards. I forgot all the cards.
Alright.
But leave a couple of cards and then you can just give me a call on the phone. You don't have to make an appointment. As long as I know that you guys are doing the right thing and you're switching that on, I'm happy with that. So, okay. Any other questions? No. Simple, hey? Easy. Good. Okay, so let's see. I need one more demo, and then we can
Marcus.
look at that. Okay, so what we're going to do is have a look at a deadlift, yeah? So we've just talked about all these principles, yeah? So I'm going to try and demonstrate it practically, so then
You're breaking things.
so then you know, okay, this is what I need to do, yeah? Okay, so if we go from the floor, first of all. Okay, so what are the things that you have to do to start with?
Set your back.
Shoulders back.
So you get these guys going, yeah? Okay. The rhomboids and lower trap, yeah? Very good. Now, the other thing I'm sure Belinda's talking about is core stability, yeah? So we want to do a tummy tuck, yeah? So keep the tummy activated.
Tummy tuck?
Yeah? Very good. Good. Now,
Hey?
what are the
Oh,
shoulders
tummy
do?
tuck. Yeah, we'll with us.
Not yet.
Oh, makeover.
Nicely.
You're doing well.
Big job.
2 for 1.
Yeah, shoulders are going to activate, yeah? So
Implants.
they've got to pull in, yeah? So they've got to boom, bang, straight, pull into that range, yeah? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to then push through with the hips, yeah? So keep that, yes. And you get to a tall position. What I tend to find a lot with is it's here, and all of a sudden it's out here, yeah? So it's on strain the whole way through, okay? You've got to lock and load is what I call it. So let's bend again. So I usually start with core first, yeah? So tummy tuck first, hold that in, shoulder blade second, lock with the balls of the shoulders, fantastic, and then bang, straight up. And he's in a great position, and he has not pulled forward, yeah? So it's very important. Then the next phase obviously is when you come into here and you're coming into this position, that you don't move the bar away and you start building back, yeah? So let's do like a
Clean.
Clean.
yeah? Sorry, you guys, this is not
He doesn't do CrossFit.
Shoulder blades, rock with the ball of the shoulder, lift straight up, and yes. Good, okay? So, that was fine, because you do have to use your straps to start to initiate, don't you? But what happens is, I tend to find that as it comes through here, it starts to come here, and then it starts to come there, and that's when this is gone. Yeah? So that's why this has to switch on all the way through it. Okay, a bit of a side deviation, but core is vital in everything. Okay? So, let me go there. See? Well. So yeah, these are the things I think it would be good to have a think about. Okay? Good to start doing the pre-activation. And you know, there's a lot of YouTube footage out there about releasing this and releasing that. Pretty much whatever works for you. Yeah, I find the foam roll quite good for the thoracic spine. I find things like, you know, this is called a pocket physio. So what this does, it's just got like a thumb. Okay, so it's a pointing device, and what it does is it pretty much hits, you know, where your trigger is, and then you can start sort of stretching out. Yeah, so you put this up against the wall. You can then press down on it because it's pointy, and then you can start stretching out. Yeah, you can do it for your back. But look, to tell you the truth,
Balls and stuff.
yeah, any type of balls or you know, lacrosse ball is massive in CrossFit. I know that. So if any of those things, they will work. Okay, but you just make sure that you use that as a recovery type of technique. Okay, and get some activation, like do some movement work with your releases as well. Okay. Just trying to think, I need actually one more demo because I think people are wanting a bit of taping done. You want to take the taping done? Yeah, just to, anyone that's willing to have, yeah, their shoulder tape? Okay, come on through, we'll take yours.
How much do the bands sell for?
What's that, sorry?
How much are your bands?
Oh, they're like $4.
$4?
Yeah.
For a little one like that?
Yeah, we cut like a meter, and it's like just $4, yeah, so nothing, yeah. It's not, I should have actually brought some along. Like I haven't tasted it before, and I just totally forgot. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, the white tape's good. Okay, we're going to come to it. Alright. No, you can go forward to it. Okay, so once again, it's just the principles, isn't it? So I know you guys like there's, you know, a good strapping technique where you start from here, you pull it back, and you go all the way there. Okay, very nice for resting position. But what I also like is a tape that goes from here to here. I reckon you come here. So that everyone can see. You worried? Okay, so.
Take a couple of photos with his camera. That's his camera. And I will just take a couple of photos.
Okay, so what I tend to do is
Point and shoot.
make
Just
sure
aim
that
and press
it's
it.
the front of
The
the
one
shoulder,
front.
yeah? So it goes to the front of the shoulder, then you actually activate here, you
Right,
pull
the
back
front.
yourself, okay? And then you pull across there and then down. Now don't yank on it, don't pull it on too down, because remember, we've got to also lift the shoulder, yeah? So if you're yanking on it too much, then it's going to be a lot harder to lift it up. So really, pull it back to here, a little bit down, but don't find too many people just try and pull it right down, yeah?
Is it just going straight down the back of the head?
Yeah, straight, going diagonal,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
through the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one like you got on your
Yeah.
shoulder. Do you have taken? Someone else has taken it.
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now, the other thing that I really like, now your supraspinatus tendon is actually right here, okay? So, I like to take some pressure.
Right there.
Sorry about that. I like to take some pressure off that as well, yeah? So, what you do is, you're going to place it just above the deltoid, okay? You get them to just lift up a little bit, and then you pull across into there, yeah? So remember, supraspinatus will get strained if it's dropped, yeah? It's just pulling on it. So I like that little lift as well, yeah? And then, how you doing, alright?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
I'm not really quite sore at all. Just doing that.
Okay, and then I get another one, and I do diagonal again, yeah? So I'll pull it back into this position, okay? Which is good. Just place another strip lifting into this position. Just try lifting it up. Okay. And so what you do then, you just try and lift up a couple of times, yeah? Just to stretch it out, okay? And then that will just start lifting a bit higher. So this is very basic but very effective, yeah? The other, would you like to pull it back? So that's, you'll start noticing a change. I like this even during the day. Let's say you're in the office, yeah? You just have one strip in here, and you feel that stretch. What are you doing during the office? You're pulling forward, aren't you? So it's just a little reminder for you. And I do that a lot with people that are in the office, yeah? Is to pull it back into that position and leave it on for a couple of days. And they start to realise they're leaving the mouse out here and starting to rotate, and then they'll come to the gym and do a workout and it's also forward. That's where things start to build up. Yeah? So I really like this one, to pull the shoulder blade back. The other one that is quite handy is if you take away the two strips going across, what you can do, we'll take all this off. What you can do is do this cross section. A lot of AFL players do this, yeah? Where they'll come across and do a couple of diagonal strips just to hold the ball of the shoulder up a bit more, yeah? Come through and you hold that up. So all this is doing is trying to hold the shoulder back but lifting at the same time. Okay? So, and that's just another one, and straight for rotation work as well. Okay? This is if you've got that, you know, that pain on the tip of the shoulder and it's just pinching a little bit. That second take where you just do crossways, lift, lift is probably the best one for it. Okay?
Can you get it wrong though?
Can you get it wrong?
Yeah.
As long as, you know the tip of the shoulder, yeah? As long as you're crossing it all the time, then that's a really good landmark. But yeah, you can get it wrong. But if you cross that tip of the shoulder, your AC joint, the whole way
So
through.
just from the, like the top to the bottom of the shoulder.
Yeah, so top to bottom, because it needs that lift, yeah? So that it's not like this, it's not dragging, it's got a lift to it, okay? Top to bottom, so cross, like that, but always cover the tip of the shoulder, okay? So that's really good.
I didn't get any tap on the shoulder.
Okay, so there's something, I know, it's good, and it's good also just as a bit of feedback for you sometimes, because then you will feel the take stretch and then you'll realise, oh, I'm actually rolling my shoulder forward, okay? So, yeah. Okay, I guess if there's no more questions, yeah, then the session is done. So, like I said, if you've got any questions later